As a health professional, having the right assessments is one of the most important things you can do. Because correct decisions require correct information. And you have to be able to find it to fix it. If you're not assessing, then you're really just guessing. Having the right assessments can separate you from the pack. There are lots of insufficient assessment systems out there. There's what I call junk assessments. We do an assessment, but we don't really have a practical way to apply that information to what we do next. There's also the approach of taking an assessment salad. You just throw tons of assessments at people, and in the end, it's all mixed up and it's more confusing. We want powerful assessments. We want assessments that are going to be quick, be able to give us information we can apply in a very linear and practical way so that we know exactly what to do next. Powerful assessments. Success leaves clues. The most successful professionals I found were all using function assessments. Function assessments are basically assessments to determine how well things are working. Function assessments can help us predict if there will be distorted movement mechanics. If things aren't functioning properly, our movement is going to be compensated. There's going to be unwanted shifting of the bones and joints. We're going to be recruiting the wrong muscles. So do an overhead shoulder press. Let me know how easy that feels. Scale of 1 to 10. 10 means easy.
Okay, 10.
Take this hand, and you're going to pull the shirt diagonally, right from here, all the way down and across so that it's pulling on your shoulder. Now you're going to do the same movement and see if it feels more restricted. Can you feel the difference?
Yeah.
And how would it feel now?
Like a 6, less easy.
What we're showing here is even though the movements look identical, under the surface with the posture and function, things might be compromised. That's why function is so important. It goes a layer deeper than movement. You can still drive a car if it's out of alignment and if it doesn't have oil in it, and it can still look like it's working perfectly fine, but you will get vehicle problems down the road. And that's why we do function assessments to avoid those body mechanical problems down the road, even though movement might look good on the surface. If the body isn't functioning optimally, we're going to have decreased athletic potential. All of the muscles are like members of a group project. We want to make sure they're all doing the jobs they're responsible for so that the whole team can get the best outcome possible. The key to a functional assessment is to have some sort of a feedback loop. So we want to test. We want to get some sort of measurable number on the function. Then we want to be able to apply whatever strategies we think might help as an experiment and then retest function and see if we get an improvement. If we get an improvement, then whatever strategies we applied are likely on the right track because we're confident that what we're doing is going to make things better. And that gives us a good starting point for our prescription of exercise, stretch, and everything else. Hips are such a central part of the body. It has connections going down below to the knees and even has an impact on the feet. Plus our low back sits on the hips and pelvis. So if there's any misalignments in the hip and pelvis, it can lead to compensations in the low back. And there's connective tissue that connects our shoulders to our hips. The hips play such a central role in the function of the body, and therefore we think it's one of the most important areas to assess. And we're going to show you one of our favorite assessments. We're going to go on to the hip swing test. This is to assess for dysfunction in the hips, which could be related to the sacrum, the gluteal nerve, or the muscles themselves. To begin, you actually want to show the client, if you have the assessment sheet, show them exactly what you're going to do so that they can predict the steps as you go through it. To start off, you're going to have the subject seated, and you're going to have them straighten one leg and just hold the leg in your hand on the outside of the ankle with your arm hanging straight down. Just imagine it like a broomstick. You don't want to break the broom. Just have your arms hanging straight down. With your other hand, brace the outside of their knee. Holding their leg out to the side, you're going to instruct them to push into your hand while you apply a gradual increasing resistance for about 2 to 3 seconds. Then they're going to score it on a scale of 1 to 10, determining how strong they feel. 10 out of 10 is if it feels like a statue, they can resist you easily. 0 out of 10 is if it's totally weak and they're giving out. So it'll look like this. Resist and go. I wait for the pressure, then I push in, then I relax. And then you ask them to score themselves in terms of how stable they felt. How strong was that on a scale of 1 to 10?
9 or 10.
And if they give you 2 answers, you just split the difference. So we would say 9.5 out of 10 on the left side hip. And if you need to, you can retest 1 or 2 times just to make sure you're confident with the results. So we'll say, let's just make sure we got that right. Resist and go. Excellent. Once again, feels like a 9.5 out of 10. Then we would proceed to test out the other side and compare the difference. Now, one cool trick you can apply is just to see how weak feels, we can create a false weak test. This works the vast majority of time for people. All you have to do is get them to assume terrible posture. Okay, so if you just tuck your chin all the way down, that might cut off some of the nerve flow going to the hip, and we might notice that it immediately becomes a lot weaker. Now, I want you to try actually as hard as you can on this test, just so we can see. Okay? Resist as hard as you can and go. And how strong did it feel that time?
2.
Okay, good. And that's a real life test there, so you can see it easily goes from a 9 to 2, but at least I know what weak feels like. So there are a number of modifiers you can apply if somebody initially tests weak. And we only do this if they initially test weak. Okay, so we're going to try a test on the other side now. So straighten your leg. Once again, I'm bracing here. I'm keeping a broad hand here. I'm going to swing your leg in. I want you to resist as hard as you can. And go. Okay, so what was that side on a scale of 1 to 10?
2.
Okay, now we're going to try a number of modifiers to see if it makes a difference. First modifier is to shrug the opposite shoulder all the way up towards the ear, and then try again, and we're just going to see if that makes a difference. Resist, go. Nope, still weak. Okay, let's try this one all the way up. Resist, and go. And still weak there. Now what we're going to try is the SI joint stabilizer modifier. So I want you to suck your abs in and try to lift your pelvic floor up by contracting the Kegel muscles or the muscles that we've used to stop the flow of urine. Okay? Hold this leg out to the side, resist as hard as you can, and go. Okay, and what did that feel like on a scale of 1 to 10?
An 8.
Okay, so we had a significant improvement with that modifier. So now we would apply the corrective strategies that are recommended if that modifier works.
I'm going to hire you.
Phone. Okay. No phone in the pocket. What do you want me to do with it?
Get rid of it.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, and go. Two to 3 seconds, right? And now the next one we want to do is quick onset. So we don't want to do a quick onset. Ready? And yes. All right, it should be like a dimmer switch. Ease into it. There we go. There are a few precautions we should have with function assessments, especially hands-on function assessments. Rule number 1, first, do no more harm. If somebody is currently injured, if somebody is just recovering from an injury, perhaps they've come out of a cast or they're just coming back from surgery, then we might not want to consider applying any assessment, hands-on function assessment, because there's a greater risk to it. Also want to avoid testing infected areas of the body or painful and injured areas in which we might cause more harm. Whenever we're doing hands-on function assessments, we want to avoid using bony contact from the hands. So try to just use a broad, flat palm as best as possible rather than jabbing your hand bones into somebody, because that pain might cause them to give up on the function test. It might create a false weakness. We want to apply pressure at an appropriate angle to the joint we're testing. We don't want to be jamming the joints. We want to take it through a tangent or an arc that's natural to the range of motion of the joint we're testing. And we want to be consistent with it. We don't want to be testing, pushing at different angles in the before and after. We want to keep it as consistent as possible so that our assessment information is as reliable as possible. Okay, so that's straight arm. Here's how we don't want to do it, is kneeling down. Now resist, go. And we don't want to do it that way because it's a different angle and line of drive. It's best to wait until your client applies pressure first, then match their resistance, and then give a little bit of overpressure to see if you can overpower them. Do this in a very gradual way. We're testing out the neuromuscular system's ability to adapt and meet the force that we're offering. And those are some of our rules for function assessments. Let's recap some of the benefits of this hip assessment. Number one, it can create wow factor. You can potentially demonstrate an immediate improvement in assessment that the client can perceive. Number two, it's going to give you quick, powerful information that's going to guide your decision making for customization for the client moving forward. Number three, you can use this in consults in order to show clients that you know what you're doing and gain their confidence. If you close even just 2 more clients per month because of this assessment, and you're billing them out at, say, $75 an hour, you would make $300 extra a week and about $1,200 extra a month. If you do this every month, then you would get 24 new clients in this way, and that could potentially help you bring in an extra $93,600 per year. It adds up. And this is the kind of clincher in an assessment that can really get somebody's buy-in instantly. Take some time to think about this assessment. It's quick, it's convenient, and it's applicable.